Okay, hi. So, before I really start this, I just want to put a little disclaimer up there. This is not a to be read book. I have read it before. I'm not some weird reader that hasn't picked up any Harry Potter books yet, but I want to reread it, so it's in my to be read pile. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, let's start the video. No books were harmed in the making of this video. Okay, hi. So now I'm going to be going through part of my to be read pile. I decided to get this together because in my book haul videos, I decided I need to start reading a lot more books and try and not purchase any, at least for a while. We'll see how long that lasts. But I decided to get some books together that I haven't read yet, and even though it's pretty tall, you know the scene in Ghostbusters where they see that stack of books in the library?
Look.
This is hot, Ray.
Symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia Man's Turbulence of 1947.
You're right, no human being would stack books like this.
I feel like that is more accurate to my to be read pile. But I'm starting off small. Basically, the pile that can fit comfortably on my desk without toppling over, even though it is pretty close. So I'm going to go through them with you. So, can I just say that I recorded this already? I recorded this whole video in one take, and then I realized it didn't record. I was recording, but for some reason, it just didn't save anything. So I'm doing this again. I'm trying to capture everything I said in the last one as close as possible because I was really proud of it. But anyway, back to the pile. Alright, so for the first one, I actually got from a friend of mine who was going through his books, and he put together some books he thought I might like, which I should have done a book haul on those. I just kind of threw them all on my bookshelf. But I'll make a mention of the books that I got from him when I do reviews on them because I eventually will get to all of them. But this is the first one from him. So, Jurassic Park. So this one I'm going to read soon because I want to do a book versus movie video on it. And I'll go ahead and read the back of it. But I feel like a lot of you already know what the story is about. But for a few of you that don't or maybe forgot, this is Jurassic Park. An astonishing technique for recovering and cloning dinosaur DNA has been discovered. Now humankind's most thrilling fantasies have come true. Creatures extinct for eons roam Jurassic Park with their awesome presence and profound mystery, and all the world can visit them for a price. Until something goes wrong. In Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton taps all his mesmerizing talent and scientific brilliance to create his most electrifying techno-thriller, Jurassic Park. So when I do finish this, and when I rewatch the movie, you'll see the video on it. Now for the next one. So this is kind of a reread too, kind of like Harry Potter, but not. It's Little Women. I remember I borrowed this from my sister at one point. I think this was originally hers. And I read it and I forgot what it's about. So I decided to put it in my to be read pile because it's kind of like reading it again if I forgot. At least that's my excuse I'm using. So for those of you that don't remember what the story is either, this is what it says on the back. In 1868, in response to the publisher's request for a girl's book, a struggling professional writer named Louisa May Alcott drew upon the memory of her own family and growing up to produce Little Women. The result was sudden fame and fortune for the author and a classic novel for American literature. Since then, generations of readers have fallen in love with tomboyish Jo, beautiful Meg, fragile Beth, and romantic Amy, and four sisters of the March family, and the story of their enchanted and enchanting years between girlhood and womanhood. Today we are still enraptured by their domestic dramas and adventures, and by the feminine strength and independence we can so clearly perceive in these pages. One of the most endearing books of all time, Little Women continues to move us with its glowing evocation of the 19th century family life. So yeah, I may read this soon because I forgot how good it is. Moving on. Okay. So this next one I talked about already, Great Expectations. That was easy. All right. So this one is pretty self-explanatory. It's a collection of Sherlock Holmes stories, and the back is just a list of them. So I think what I'm going to do is go through kind of each story as I'm reading this. So it may be kind of a long review when I get to it, but I will get to it. So there isn't really much to say about this because it's about Sherlock Holmes. Okay, that one was easy too. And now my next one, which is my only Stephen King book in the pile, The Langoliers. And the reason for that is I feel like he's the reason why I have so many books stacked up, because I read him and only him a lot of the time. And I feel like his books on my bookshelf right now are kind of mad at me. I don't know if it's because they're Stephen King books, or if I could just feel them behind me, just watching, listening, not being read. But this one will be. So, what this one is about is, on the back of this, it says, on a cross-country red-eye flight from Los Angeles to Boston, 10 passengers awaken in Bangor, Maine, to find that the crew and most of their fellow passengers have disappeared. The airport shows no signs of life, yet they hear radio static in the distance. Craig Toomey, an irritable investment banker, on the verge of a breakdown, believes it is the Langoliers, monsters he was afraid of as a child, who attacked those who wasted time. It is mystery author Bob Jenkins who first theorizes that they have flown through a time rip. Bob declares they have entered a place that forbids time travelers to observe or interfere with past events. It turns out that Craig is right, in a way. Two creatures, followed by hundreds more, emerge from the forest and head for the plain, consuming everything in their path. Can the survivors manage to fly the plane back to Los Angeles, back to the correct time, before the Langoliers succeed in their deadly mission to destroy the plane and the world? Nina Bellman, the young blind girl whose aunt did not survive the time rip, has the greatest insight of all. Spine-tingling and propulsive, The Langoliers is a brilliant read from the masterful Stephen King. So this one I'm excited about, obviously, because it's Stephen King. But I'm going to try and not read it right away just because it's him. And I'm trying to really keep him out of this pile. At least this one. When I update it, there will be more King in there. That's my Stephen King in the mix. On to the next. And if you're wondering why it looks like I'm wearing something new, it's because I am. This video took me 2 days. This is what you get. And the next one, which I'm just gonna kind of mention because I already talked about this, was another one from the Charles Dickens box set, Hard Times. This next one, oh man, am I gonna get nerdy with this book review. It's Supernatural book. So I don't know if there's any fans of Supernatural that watch my book reviews, but they have books. So The show was on for 15 years, and the books is kind of like watching new episodes. I love these books. So the back of it kind of gives a brief description of the show in case you don't know anything about it, or in case it's been a while since you watched it and you need a refresher. It's about the Winchester brothers. So it says Sam and Dean Winchester have spent their lives on the road battling every kind of supernatural threat. Over the years, after dozens of bloody adventures, they have faced everything from the yellow-eyed demon that killed their mother to vampires, ghosts, shapeshifters, angels, and fallen gods. With the help of allies, both human and supernatural, they've discovered that every threat they vanquish opens a new door for evil to enter in. So that's a brief summary of the show. But this is what the book is about. When a gruesome murder takes place in Braden Heights, Indiana, the local authorities suspect the disemboweled and eyeless corpse is a result of an animal attack. But when another body is discovered, the eyes gouged out, Sam, Dean, and Castiel start looking for connections between the victims, and discover both men were soon to be fathers. As the boys hunt the killer, they unearth the town's troubled past and secrets some would prefer stay buried forever. I am so excited to read this. I read their books before, and they read just like the characters. It's like reading a script. It's like reading an episode. It's so much fun. I'm going to nerd this review up. Sorry, but not sorry. Okay. Moving on. This one I've had him on my shelf for a while, and it's been there for so long, I almost forgot what it was about. But I read the back, and it sounds amazing. I'll read it to you now. Vermont, 1950. There's a place for the girls whom no one wants, the troublemakers, the illegitimate, the too smart for their own good. It's called Idlewild Hall, and local legends say the boarding school is haunted. 4 roommates bond over their whispered fears, their budding friendship blossoming, until one of them mysteriously disappears. Vermont, 2014. 20 years ago, journalist Fiona Sheridan's elder sister's body was found in the overgrown fields near the ruins of Idlewild Hall, and although her sister's boyfriend was tried and convicted of the murder, Fiona can't stop revisiting the events, unable to shake the feeling that something was never right about the case. When Fiona discovers the Idlewild Hall is being restored by an anonymous benefactor, she decides to write a story about it. But a shocking discovery during the renovations links the loss of her sister to secrets that were meant to stay hidden in the past, and a voice that won't be silenced. This sounds so good. I don't know why I never read it, but I will soon because it's in this pile now. Alright, next one, which I've kind of mentioned already, Magic Hour. I'll link that too. And I should have mixed this up a little bit more because this is another one that I talked about that's in the to be read pile. I'll connect that as well. And this one, The Wish Tree. I haven't talked about it. It kind of reminds me of the Giving Tree, which I think is why I got it initially. But the back says this: my close friends call me Red, and you can too. But for a long time, people in the neighborhood have called me the Wish Tree. There's a reason for this, and it goes way back to when I wasn't much more than a tiny seed with higher aspirations. People come from all over town to adorn me with scraps of paper, tags, bits of fabric, snippets of yarn, and the occasional gym sock. Each offering represents a dream, a desire, a longing. Draped, tossed, tied with a bow, all hopes for something better. Giving Tree, right? It just sounds so much like it. I don't care. I'm gonna read it. I'm excited. And this next one is Cemetery Girl. This sounds so good. So it's about Tom and Abby Stewart have everything: a perfect marriage, successful careers, and a beautiful 12-year-old daughter, Caitlin. Then one day Caitlin vanished without a trace. For a while they grasped at every false hope and followed every empty lead, but the tragedy ended up changing their lives, overwhelming them with guilt and dread and shattering their marriage. 4 years later, Caitlin is found alive but won't discuss where she was or what happened. And when the police arrest a suspect connected to her disappearance, she refuses to testify. Taking matters into his own hands, Tom tries to uncover the truth and finds that nothing that has happened yet can prepare him for what he is about to discover. So good. Sounds so good. I'm going to read this soon. Harry Potter. I know it's a reread. I know it shouldn't be in to be read pile. I don't care, because it's Harry Potter. And the reason why it is in here is because I want to do a book versus movie video on this as well. It wasn't my idea, it was a coworker's idea to include Harry Potter in that, and I thought it was good. I don't know why I didn't think of it to begin with, but that's why I'm rereading it. I don't feel like I need to explain what Harry Potter is about, and even if I do, I think I'm going to save that for the video because I think that's going to be a lot of fun doing the book versus movie videos on this series. So I don't know how spread out they're going to be. I don't know what order I'm going to read these books in, if I'm going to read them in order. If I do, it's kind of near the end, but maybe like once a month, once every couple months or something, I'll have a new Harry Potter book in there. But the first one is in this pile. So now, the next one. Bob Saget. So with this one, I wanted to get it because it was his book. I knew he wrote it. But also, because of the title. It's not just Dirty Daddy. I mean, it is. But on the very bottom, what my fingers were covering, if you can't read it, I'll zoom in. And I'm reading it off the screen. So it's the Chronicles of a Family Man Turned Filthy Comedian. Which is kind of true in a way. His stand-up wasn't like Danny Tanner at all. But the older he got, I don't know how many of you listened to his podcast, but the older he got, the more he said he was turning into Danny Tanner. And you hear it when he's talking. He cared about everyone. He was just so concerned with everyone's well-being. He threw the word love around like it was the only word in the English language. And he was very much Danny Tanner. But on stage, at least for a few years, he was a completely different guy. And it was around this time, I think, is when he wrote this book. So this one's going to be pretty fun to review. I don't want to say too much about it yet, obviously, because I haven't read it yet. But it's pretty much about himself. Even the back. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and read the back. So it says, he is Bob Saget, and in Dirty Daddy he delivers uproarious, uncensored, and heartfelt stories from his life and entertainment and beyond. Bob talks about the connection between humor and pain and pays homage to the family, friends, and legendary comedians who have shaped and inspired him. Richard Pryor, David Letterman, Billy Crystal, and Robin Williams. Throughout, he shares tales of close friends and colleagues like Rodney Dangerfield and Don Rickles, and recalls his experiences with show business legends, including Johnny Carson and George Carlin. Told with his highly original blend of silliness, vulgarity, wit, and heart, Dirty Daddy reveals Bob Saget as never before. A man hilarious and often dirty, yet warm and disarmingly sincere, who loves being funny and making people laugh above all else. I'm looking forward to this one. But this is Bob Saget. And this one I talked about already in another book haul, and it made me a liar because I said I was going to read it soon and I still haven't yet. but I'll connect that to this. And To Kill a Mockingbird. I can't even tell you what it's about if you're wondering what it's about, if you haven't heard about it yet, because I have no description. I lost that part of it. I don't even know how I got this book. I was about to buy it, so I'm really glad I went through my shelf recently. But this is in my to be read pile. A review will come once I finish it. Now, my last book in my current to be read pile is Are You Sleeping? And this one I got from a coworker of mine, or I should say an ex-coworker of mine. And I didn't realize it at first. So I went to work and we have little cubbies, like children. And I saw that this one was in mine. And at first I thought it was from my friend who gave me the other books that I mentioned earlier, one of them being Jurassic Park. But it wasn't. And it didn't really hit me until later on, after I mentioned it to him, that there was a note in it written to me from the coworker that was leaving, who knew that I love reading, and so she left me this book. And this one sounds really good. So this says, Josie Berman has spent the last 10 years trying to escape her family's reputation, and with good reason. After her father's murder 13 years prior, her mother ran away to join a cult, and her twin sister Lainey, once Josie's closest friend and confidant, betrayed her in an unimaginable way. Now Josie has finally put down roots in New York, settling into domestic life with her partner Caleb. That's where she intends to stay. The only problem is that she lied to Caleb about every detail of her past, starting with her last name. When investigative reporter Poppy Parnell sets off a media firestorm with a mega-hit podcast that reopens the long-closed case of Josie's father's murder, Josie's world begins to unravel. Meanwhile, the unexpected death of Josie's long-absent mother forces her to return to her Midwestern home, where she must confront the demons from her past and the lies on which she has staked her future. So that's going to be pretty fun to read. So I have all these books that I'm going to read. I'm going to be reviewing all of them eventually as I go through the pile. And I think what I'm going to do, once I get somewhat through them, I'm going to add more, because there are a lot more that I need to read. And then I'll do another TBR video on those. But right now, before I get to any of them, I'm reading this book. I don't know if you could see it. It looks like there's a glare on my end. But Murder at the Book Club is what I'm reading now. And I'm only a chapter into it, so I'm not very far. But before any of these, I'll probably be doing a review on this whenever I finish it. So that's what's coming up. I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know if any of you guys have read any of these books, what you thought about them, or if you want to read them too. Like I said, I'll be doing a review on all of them. I feel like I should kind of jump around to not do them in order, so I haven't decided yet which one I'm going to pick up first. But they all will be read soon. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!